Welcome, everyone. This is Avoiding the Addiction Affliction, brought to you by Westwards Consulting, the Kenosha County Substance Use Disorder Coalition, and by a grant from the state of Wisconsin's Dose of Reality Real Talks, reminding you that opioids are powerful drugs and that one pill can kill. I'm Mike McGowan. William Person is a former 9-year Team USA bobsled athlete whose career left him battling the devastating effects of CTE. And no, I'm not going to try to pronounce it. At his lowest point, he could barely get up off the floor, lost in confusion, depression, intense headaches, and a deteriorating brain. Hope came when he discovered hyperbaric oxygen therapy, which restored clarity in his thinking, color to his vision, and purpose to his life, which is what we're going to talk about today. Today, William is on a mission to raise awareness of brain damage in sports, the military, and other lifetime collisions, and share the importance of protecting and healing the brain. To realize this mission, he's launched a GoFundMe, which will help raise funds to purchase a medical-grade hyperbaric oxygen chamber to open a CTE recovery center where anyone battling CTE and brain injury symptoms can get treatment at absolutely no cost to them. Welcome, William, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad you're here. Let's talk about your career first, then we'll get into the CTE stuff. You originally, I think, ran track, right?
Yeah, that's how I went to college. Yeah.
What'd you run?
I was mainly a long jumper, but I ran 400, 200, 100. I even ran some 800s in my day. So, yeah, track and field was my passion.
I can't
Yeah,
imagine
that's,
you enjoy the 800 very much.
you know what? When I was younger, I loved it. If they said I had to run it, yeah, okay, not a big deal. But I didn't mind it at all.
How did you end up getting recruited then? I assume you got recruited to do the bobsled.
Yeah, I was training at Brigham Young University at the time. I was on my last couple years of track. I had just opened like the first ever independent living transitional housing program. So the state of Utah opened me as a pilot program. So I was doing different things. And so I was training at BYU. And some people told me, hey, there's a tryout coming for the 2002 Winter Olympics. You should try out. And I had about another year of track left in me, maybe. And I was like, maybe I could pick a sponsor up for the last year if I go because I knew NBC was covering it. And when I went, the truth is, I set a new record on a tryout. This driver who was there, who was responsible for helping them recruit, he put his arm around me, and with all these hot lights and cameras on me, NBC, he offered me 50 grand to race on his team for 3 months.
Oh,
And I was a businessman. Like I said, I owned a treatment facility, and it was doing very well actually. And I didn't need the money, but I was like, extra 50 grand, man, I was like, count that money, collect it, because yeah, I'll race on this team. And the irony is, the first day at the bobsled track, we get to the top of this mountain, we unload the bobsled. I see one of my old collegiate teammates, Billy Schiffenhauer. He was like, "Man, I've been trying to call you. Where you been? I want you to come race on my team." So my driver, he panicked. He said, "Hey, wait a minute, buddy. Don't leave me. I'll get you more money." So I'm thinking I'm getting 50 grand plus a bonus. And the truth was, I was asking my boy, "How much are you making out here?" He's making money. What do you mean? It costs us money. I was like, you guys getting ripped off, man. What are you doing with your life? You got to make better decisions, man. What are you? But I quickly found out this guy didn't have any sponsors. He didn't have any money. And by the time I figured it out, I was in love with the sport. I won a medal from the first tryout. It was a Wednesday. By the following Friday, I won the America's Cup medal. NBC ran the story, and the rest was kind of history. It was fun. It was different. And I always wanted to represent my country, and I had a chance to actually do it. I never made the national team on the track and field side. So,
awesome. So
yeah.
did you do the two-man, the four-man?
Yeah, I'm the U.S. four-man national champion, and my best finish at the nationals in the U.S. is a silver medalist in two-man.
Man,
But
oh
yeah,
man. So for those that don't know how this goes, there's four of you in a sled. Where were you?
hopefully there's four of us in the sled. Sometimes the other guys don't make it.
Yeah, we've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, many times. And I've been luckily to never have that happen to me. Yeah, I'm usually all the way in the back.
So you
I'm
were the
usually I'm
last one,
I'm usually the brakeman. Get
the
that
brakeman.
glory spot of the brakeman.
Yeah.
But it's really, we all push the hardest. We all push hard, and even my driver's pushing hard. So there's no weak link. Hopefully, you have no weak links in there. We're all equally working as hard to make that sled move quick.
Yeah. This leads us to where we're going. Describe a typical run down the track and how many rumbles and rattles and how that contributed to the CTE.
That's where it comes in at. I'm not quite sure because hopefully we were hoping that they would, when I start bringing the information out, they would actually get together and start talking about it. We can figure this out together. That's what the goal was. But it didn't quite work that way. So what I do know now is like sometimes you ever seen a lake early in the morning and it's smooth, like
Yeah.
extreme smooth. Okay, that's how ice normally is on race day. The World Cup, World Championships, Olympics. But if you go to the lake in the afternoon, though, there's ripples in the water. And so when you have ripples on that ice and you run those runners across it, it's equivalent to shaken baby syndrome. It's like it's this. Matter of fact, if your mouth is not closed tight, your teeth chatter. It's just that, yeah.
Were you wearing a
And
mouth guard?
no, I've never seen anybody wear a mouth guard before.
Really?
Yeah. And so you have that part of the now you also have the extreme G forces that I know now were affecting us, which I had no idea before. Because they told us we only pulled four, but there are some reports that came out there found spikes of 84.5. I actually know we were pulling 5 Gs. I think we were pulling maximum was supposed to be five, but we're pulling 84.5, which is just the space shuttle does three, I was told, and the fighter pilots do six.
Yeah.
What are we doing 84? It just doesn't make sense.
So you're going down the track in essentially an aluminum or whatever fiberglass convertible,
Yeah.
four of you, and you're bouncing all over the place. So I would imagine little mini micro concussions, and even though you're wearing a helmet, you're jostling around.
Yeah, that's what they say. But to be honest, like when I'm in that sled, one of the things about being that brakeman, the guy sitting in front of me, my head is resting right in the middle of his back. And my goal for aerodynamic purposes and keep the sled from moving is I'm supposed to put my head so hard in his back and pull myself into it that I leave a knot in the middle of his back at the end of that
Mm.
run. So hopefully I shouldn't be moving around too much in there. But I've cracked a helmet by just going down the track because there's violent twists and turns. And I'm all the way in the back, so it's called the whip effect. So I get the worst of the worst. And that might be why I'm having, as much problems as I'm having. It might be because of that. I'm not sure.
Do you know how many
Not quite
runs you
sure.
made over time?
I tried to do the math, but it's impossible. Like some days we did one, some days we did six. And one day we broke a record and did seven.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing that 3 to 5 days a week, 4 to 5 months of the year I did it for 9 years. So that number, I have no idea how to really, I can put a best case and worst case scenario, but I'm not quite sure. But it had to be in the hundreds.
Yeah.
Has to
So
be.
I think when people hear this, they're going to think like football. They're going to think helmet to helmet collisions and unconsciousness. But we're talking about repetition and bouncing over a period of time. Even though I
Yeah.
read an article that there are people who blacked out,
Oh yeah.
lost
Yeah.
consciousness on the sled.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens all the time. And I won't say all the time, it happens sometime. Like some people, you have people who come out who have never taken a trip down the track. They go down that track and some people just don't, they just go to sleep. And then you have some people that people reportedly had a number two in their pants, put it that way.
Yeah.
It's just, it affects people in different ways.
If you're watching the NFL now, William, and if you see somebody take a hit up above, now they have an official
Hmm.
who can pull the player off the field and they go into the blue tent and check them for concussion, whatever.
Yeah.
Did they ever have an official check you guys for concussions, thinking, okay, we need to make sure these guys are all right?
I've only been checked once that I remember. And I remember that because they came and grabbed me, right? Like, as soon as we crashed, it was a pretty bad crash. It was probably my worst crash. Matter of fact, I'm wearing this today. It was in St. Moritz, Switzerland. I saw this in the mall one day, so I had to have it. But this, about now that I'm looking at it on camera with all the colors, I apologize.
Oh no, it looks great. It looks great.
but but yeah, my first crash was there, and like I had vertigo, and the guy actually on that day I was sitting in the number three spot, and the guy sitting behind me was knocked unconscious. And I remember we walked off the track, and I remember the paramedics grabbing me. But I thought I was fine. Like I had everybody's helmets in my hand. I don't know why are they grabbing me. So now I'm fighting these strangers off of touching me. I'm like, what are you doing? But then
Well,
I realized the colors, everything was so bright, the lights. So I was concussed. I was gone, and yeah.
clearly affected your thinking. I heard you tell a story about what was it, Prince Albert at a race in Switzerland where,
Oh, that was the place. Yeah.
yeah,
At that same moment, I'm sitting on the table. They're doing an evaluation on me. Prince Albert, he's standing with Anna Kournikova. I don't know if you remember that tennis player,
sure,
and Michael Schumacher, race car driver. He has crazy mad fans. So you see them traveling through Europe. Oh my God, man, they have.
F1
I've
are
never seen,
crazy fans,
I've
aren't
never seen
they?
anything like it in my
Yeah.
life. Yeah, yeah. So he walks closer to me and he winks at me, and man, I said, "My God." I have a lot of gay. I live in LA. I have a lot of gay friends. Yeah, I grew up, had a great cousin. Not a big deal to me. Used to it. But I was like, oh my God, Prince Albert's in love with me. I was like, I just won't isolate with him anymore. I don't want to lead him on. And that's what I did. From that day forward, I didn't isolate with Prince Albert anymore because I didn't want to lead him on. Because I just clearly wasn't thinking straight. It took me 15, 20 years before I realized, wait a minute. I was
You,
concussed on that day, and in Europe, they wink. They don't do the, yeah,
were you disappointed then he wasn't coming on to you?
maybe just a little bit, maybe not. But no, he was a great guy. Matter of fact,
Yeah,
he was so down to earth.
yeah,
At my last World Championships, we were in Italy, I think. Matter of fact, where the Olympics going to be? We're in Cortina. He
yeah.
was there. He was there about to race. We're all waiting in his line to get some water, and Prince Albert he's waiting in line with us. We said, Albert, we thought you were gone. What are you doing back? He said, you're the only guys that treat me like shit. That's why I came back. And we was like, yeah, no, get your ass to the back of the line.
That's
And
great.
so yeah, he's just a regular down to earth guy. Matter of fact, I didn't even know he was really royalty until probably after I left the sport. Like I didn't understand the significance of who he really was. But
Well,
yeah,
you probably didn't realize this in the moment, other than you were seeing stars or the bright lights, like you said. But talk about some of the symptoms then that occurred for you that led you to, and how did you figure out that it was CTE that you were dealing with? What were you experiencing?
man, it was over years. There was a lot of
Yeah.
symptoms that I didn't recognize them. Just didn't recognize them. You want the early symptoms or you want the ones that were
Start with the early ones and then move forward.
early ones? I would wake up and I wouldn't know where I was at. And so I'd panic a little bit. And so I'd jump up, turn the lights on. And I guess the way I always can tell, the pictures on the wall let me know where I'm at. I always say the pictures in Europe, it's kind of like them old Three Stooges and spooky movies where the eyes follow you and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what's on the pictures on the walls in Europe. If I see white painted cinder brick, I know I'm at the Olympic Training Center. And that's kind of how I wake
Got it.
up, turn the light on, I say, okay. But I rationalize it. I tell myself, you know what? I just travel so much, have such a great life, and represent my country. That's why I don't know where I'm at. And but the next one that got me, man, I just don't know how I missed it. But I hadn't seen my friends in a while, so I always kept an apartment in Salt Lake. And I went back, hanging out with some friends, and we went to go shoot pool. And my buddy sees a young lady come in. He said, "Hey, bud, it's your ex-girlfriend over there." And I looked at her. I was like, "No, she's pretty, but I don't know her." And she ran over and jumped in my arms, and I caught her, and I'm like, "Hey, wait a minute." But once again, as an athlete, I was rationalizing, "Oh, everybody loves athletes." That's what my mind is telling me. But I'm not realizing, I'm not recognizing familiar faces and my friends. I just didn't know. And yeah, so those are the subtle signs. And I was still racing for 3 or 4 years after that with that damage already done and not understanding what was going on.
And
But I saw,
nobody's checking on you with a physical saying, are you experiencing any forgetfulness or
no, not at
wow.
all. Matter of fact, I saw one of my drivers. We were at the training center getting ready for a race, and I saw him looking out the corner of his eye, like way over here, and his eyes got stuck and they started fluttering. And I was like, "Hey, man, what's wrong?" And he was like, "I don't know. It's been going on for a minute." I said, "Oh man, that was weird." He said, "Yeah, I don't know what it is." And we never mentioned it ever again. We never even discussed it. We didn't go to a doctor. We just, yeah.
That's not untypical either, right, William, for athletes? It's I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay.
Yeah, but now that I'm recognizing what the signs really were,
Yes.
and now with education being out there, people would understand, like, hey, wait a minute, this is not. And that's why I keep talking and speaking up about this because it's subtle, it's invisible to most people. Because what I've noticed is that every athlete that I've seen with this condition, no one has been able to recognize it until things get way, way bad.
Yeah.
And it,
I heard that it all came together when you were reading an article in the New York Times. I think the article what was it called? Sledhead?
that's actually not the that was part of it. Actually, when I read that article, I got on my knees and thank God all the symptoms missed me. That's the irony of it. But the truth is, I'm sure I was in dementia because every day I wake up, like, I don't know the day. And I know I don't know the day. And I don't know the month. So I had a routine. Before I go to bed at night, I put a thermos of coffee or a bottle of Coca-Cola or a Mountain Dew on my nightstand. And eventually on the floor in the living room, because eventually I left that bedroom and I stayed in the living room on the floor for a long time. But I would, in the morning, grab that drink, get a little caffeine in me. Then I'll be kind of awake. If I didn't have it, I wasn't getting out of bed till 3 o'clock. So I assumed this was diabetes. So for many years, I was checking the doctors. Hey, can I get my insulin this year, please? Let's get this thing out the way. And the truth was, like, they were right. I didn't have diabetes, but it felt like that. So that's why I think a lot of people aren't really catching the signs because it looks like a lot of stuff. And I would wake up, get the caffeine in me, and then I had to figure out what the day is. So I had a little blue book, a little planner. And matter of fact, now I'm thinking, I said, why didn't I just look at my phone? But I had a little planner, had a system. I look at that blue planner, pick out the day. Okay, today's Monday. Okay. Now I got to figure out what month we in. To me, it's always January or August. So I was stuck in this loop for some reason, and I don't really understand why. I don't know. I just don't know why. I've tried to rationalize it so many times.
Is
And
that still
then,
occurring?
yeah, I still have days like that. Matter of fact, it's actually one of the things that saves me now because when I have to ask my girlfriend what the day is, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm having some struggles today. So get back in the chamber. Yeah.
How did you come across the hyperbaric oxygen therapy?
Actually, I left a little piece out. Let me back
Yeah,
up
yeah,
just a
go.
little bit. This is how I'm going to show how people don't really recognize this thing. I knew I was in this dementia stage. And when the doctors told me it wasn't diabetes, I began to lose hope. And I was starting to get lost in my own little neighborhood. Like I'd been there for years. And so I found a lake house in the Midwest. And it was really going to be my death house. Like I knew, because I was praying for death every day. Like my
Oh,
teammates were
yeah.
already killing themselves. Oh my God, I couldn't get out of here fast enough. And so I'm on the ground praying for death every day. And my buddy probably called me. And like before I made Team USA, I did a bunch of random weird things. Like if you see the movie Jerry Maguire, I'm one of the guys running up and down the field I played 5 different characters, played with make Cuba look like he was a real athlete, stuff like that.
You mean
And
he wasn't?
no, man, we used to call him we called him alligator arms because he knew we couldn't hit him, and he still wouldn't catch that football sometimes. He would when he see the ball coming, he see us come. He know we can't hit him. We gonna get fired if we touch him.
Oh, I bet.
He do this. But he would punish himself. He'd be like, "Oh man, I knew I was going. I don't know why y'all scared me so bad. I'm gonna stop." And eventually, he started catching the ball and became a pretty good athlete out there. But yeah, so I was doing that stuff. And so when I left the sport, one of my buddies called me. He wanted to be a writer, so he would call me with these crazy ideas for stories for movies, and I had never seen any of it before. So I'm like, man, that's great. That's yeah, okay. And so every periodically he called me and we go over it again. And but the last time he called me, he was speaking this weird gibberish. And so what I know now is his mind was slipping. That's why
Yeah,
his story seemed so unique because he wasn't in reality anymore. So he was speaking this weird gibberish. And because I used to own a treatment facility and I worked for many of them, that's my background. So I know he
yeah.
needed help. And I told myself every day I got to get my buddy some help. And the truth is, all I did was think about it. I might have spoke to somebody. I don't know if I did or didn't, but I was kind of isolated at that time. And eventually I got the word that he went to his family's factory and he hung himself. And so I just felt responsible. I felt guilty. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. And so after that happened, this is when I got the place in the Midwest, the little lake house. And so I had a young lady I was dating at the time. And so I would go back and forth. She would come see me. I'd come see her. And one time I'm at her house, and how do I put this nice? She might watch this, so I got to be careful what I
Sure.
say here. Her and her family, they talk on phone a lot. I got a very loving family. And I always say they were all born with microphones in their throat because they're so loud, man. And that noise was killing me. And I was
Mm,
like, I got to go back to the lake house, get some peace and quiet. And I felt bad because, like, who am I to tell somebody to be quiet in their own home? That's not who I am. It's not what I should be doing. And so we talked about it. I said, maybe we need to break up and move on from each other. I don't know. So I'm at the lake house, and that's when the article shows up. And so I read it, I get on my knees, and I thank God all the symptoms miss me. And then I send it to my girlfriend. She circles some stuff and sent it back. And the first thing that I recognized was noise sensitivity.
mm.
It's the reason why I was over there in the first place. And then I went, oh my goodness. And then I went down that list and I checked every box that I can remember except Parkinson's. And then I went, okay, now this thing has a name. This is not diabetes. I was wrong. And I'm thinking, oh my God, my teammates been killing themselves. Like now I want to kill myself. I'm begging for death every day of my life for the last 5 years. And I still couldn't say this is what it was. And so now I know what it is. And then at that time, public's autopsy eventually came out, and we found out he was in stage 4. That's why he couldn't talk. And if you watch me, if I go about a month without using that chamber, I go backwards that too. Like I can still talk, I can still communicate, but I can see words, but I can't pronounce them. Sometimes I struggle with putting sentences together, and then sometimes my speech will slur a little bit. Actually, slurring just a little bit today. I'm a little bit off a little bit today. I can tell, but yeah.
I saw some cryptic reference to Joe Namath in something I read
Oh,
about this.
absolutely.
Explain that.
Once I figured out what it really was, now I'm not looking at diabetes remedies and things like that. I'm looking at CTE remedies. And across my algorithm one day, Joe Namath shows up, and it shows that he used hyperbaric oxygen to reverse
Mm.
his symptoms. So I tried every doggone thing that was there to try. Every symptom, I've been addressing them for years. And so I didn't think it was going to work. And recently I found a video of me making a recording in there at the first session. And it was so dark, man. It was like, wow, I don't know how I made it. But I'm in that chamber for 1 hour. And when I get out, it's like I was walking in 3D, like the colors were so vivid. And so when I went to grab my glasses, I took them on and put them off a few times. And the salesman comes over and he's like, hey, buddy, what's wrong? I say, I don't know. I don't think I need my glasses. And he's, oh, you're one of those. And I was like, okay, I just bought this lake house. I don't have money for this $22,000 for this chamber right here. He's probably trying to sell me this chamber. That's what my brain is telling me. But he was actually right. Some people get like immediate relief, and some people need 30 days of 2 sessions a day to get the same type of relief. And I happen to be the first. But also, there's people who get permanent relief. I don't get permanent relief yet. Yeah. So that's my biggest dilemma with it. But
I like
it,
the
it
word yet. I like the word yet.
yeah, this is the crazy part. Like every so often, I'll stop when I'm feeling really normalized for myself. For you, you'd be like, oh my God, this is horrible. But for me, it's a pretty good day.
Yeah.
And I'll stop using it for a while to see where my progress is at. And usually I'll get about a month. As long as I'm not stressed and dealing with other stuff like that, I get about a month and then I'll start going backwards and I have to make sure I'm back in the machine again. Matter of fact, this is my machine right behind me. I have one in the home now.
Mm.
And that's
So,
what,
so
yeah.
explain to me how long you spend in it, how often you're in it, and what it does.
When I first started, I was so weak. So whenever I got in it, I'll be in there for 90 minutes. I'm usually, I was so weak, I would just sleep during that time. And I wake up, I set some alarms and I wake up when it's off and get out. I was doing once a day. And then once I start feeling better, because I'm not, like Joe Namath had a team of doctors, right?
Yeah,
I don't have a team of doctors. I'm one
right.
man with a chamber. All my social media says one man with a chamber. So I try not to overdo it because I don't know what the long term, if there are the long term damages or according to the statistics with these machines, like I use a low power chamber or a low pressure chamber. They say you can literally sleep in these things all day long, every day, and not do damage. And I don't know that to be a fact. So I still make sure I take breaks from it to make sure that everything is still good. And but when I take those breaks, I start to pay for it again, and it is what it is. But I used to have a real bad attitude about it at one point because I was like, Joe Namath got permanent relief. I watched these other guys with permanent relief. Why not me? And then I found this guy. He lived in an iron lung for 57 years, right? And only his head stuck out of that tube. He was 57 years in that tube. And after that, I was like, I'm sorry. No more complaining. And so
Gratitude.
I try to, yeah, absolutely, man. Nothing but gratitude. Yeah.
What did you try, William, that did not work?
The symptoms of this thing is you hear people with concussions, eventually you'll hear them say, oh, I can't focus. I think I have adult ADHD. You didn't have it in your teens, you didn't have it in your 20s, you didn't have it in your 30s. It don't show up in your 40s and 50s and 60s. You had it. It's something else is going on. So I started addressing that. I thought I had adult ADHD. This is before I even realized CTE. I'm just addressing them as time went on. So that was the first one they did. Check doctors. They said, you could be. So give you Adderall. All right. And then those things, you got to be careful. They'll make your anxiety worse if you're not careful. They'll make your heart erratic. You got to be very careful when you're trying that stuff. What else did I try? Oh, it'll tell you to keep your T levels up. So I went to doctors to keep my T levels up. All I did was thicken my blood up and just made me even more muscular. Now, but I still feel like crap. What's the point? Now, when I combine the testosterone levels up with the hyperbarics, now I'm feeling much better. But I haven't done those two together in quite a while. It gets so expensive. Like I just couldn't keep paying that bill. And Because before I was a counselor, and now like I process too slow. I can't. I'm not playing with people's lives like that. I
Mm.
don't want to. It's not the right thing to do. So now I do whatever I can just to make ends meet, pretty much.
And you're reaching out, you're trying to help people. William, a couple of weeks ago, I spoke to a group of veterans.
Oh my God, thank you.
Yeah, it was part
Yeah,
of what I do. And everyone I talked to had some kind of something going on, right? So many of them had been inside of tanks or around mortars, so they had a
hmm
constant ringing in the ears, or headaches, or physical abnormalities and whatever. And
yeah,
they're just all like you were talking, just muddling along. And one of the goals you have is to make
yeah,
this available not just to elite athletes, but to veterans,
to
anybody
everyone.
else, right? Common folks.
Let me give you another piece of my background. When I left college, I was 23. I worked at San Joaquin County Mental Health Department. You guys should look it up, man. That's the first mental health facility west of the Mississippi River. So everybody with extreme behaviors went there to get help, right? So that's where I cut my teeth at. So I had people with depression, bipolar, all the different levels of schizophrenia. We had the mentally, criminally insane there, the criminally
Mm,
insane come through from court. And then sometimes we had the people who were still walking around with lobotomies in there. So I saw everything. So that's one of the things that kind of helped me see the clearer picture when I began to clear up a little bit. One thing I noticed, I don't care if you had fell down one time and hit your head and had a concussion, you probably had the same symptoms as the rest of us. The housewives who've been battered, they're now checking their brains
mm,
upon death. They ton of CTE over there. We're looking at our veterans. They call it PTSD, but when they check their brains, they find out they have CTE. I just read one study, they checked 120 brains, and I think 85 of them came back with CTE. And so we do know it's coming from the mortars and the explosions and it's that stuff that give you that pressure in the face. Things that make the brain want to move, but the brain can't move is that pressure. The brain constricts it, so it just bounces in there. And so it's all the same symptoms. And I was like, wow, if that machine woke me up and helped me take some of this off of me, I think it'll benefit everybody. Because
yeah.
like I said, I took 6 rides. I won almost 6 rides a day many times for years. I'm probably the worst case scenario. Like nobody other than a boxer can probably have more damage than me. Now that I understand what it is, I don't really know why I'm still standing.
Mm.
Like it's pretty bad stuff.
I'm glad you are. And we're going to put the link to your podcast for the GoFundMe page because you're trying to raise enough money to do it. But just for
Yeah.
folks who don't understand how that goes, where does the money go for that? Does it just sit there until you utilize? How does that go?
I want to move quickly. There was when I found help, I started letting the athletes around the world. It's a global problem. It's not just Americans.
Right.
I started letting the athletes around the world know, like, I know you're struggling. This is what you have. Get into a hyperbaric chamber. And like in Canada, they said, we can't get them up here. And I was like, what? I said, I got the little lake house. I'm not really there very often, but I could bring the machine and you guys can come here and treat with me. And so that's how this thing really started. It was supposed to be a small scale thing. But then when I saw my veterans, like this apart, I don't know if you know the numbers, but like I'll give you three years that I really researched was 2020, 2021, and 2022. If you can go back as far as you want to, the numbers are all about the same. That's how many veterans commit suicide every year. But with this condition, most people self-medicate to feel better because the
Right.
symptoms are awful. There's another 5,000 veterans who overdose every year. And even if they leave a suicide note, it does not count as a suicide. So to me, that's 11,000 suicides per year for our veterans. And so I know where I'm at. I know where my teammates are at. I know the inner workings because I had to live it. And I know what that machine did to shake some of that stuff off. Because matter of fact, man, you don't let me ramble because I'm so passionate about this. I can go for days. So don't let me mess up with you.
Oh,
But
no,
let me
go.
take a breath. This is what I know. If I had all the same symptoms, I did a graph. We all had the same symptoms. And so like I promise you, if you get in that chamber, you got 1 hour. For me, I had 1 hour in that chamber and my life changed. And I'm just hoping like how many of them 30,000 veterans who died that year of those 3 years, how many of we could have saved? Was it 10%? Was it 100%? Because I don't think they could have been off any worse than I was. I just can't see it being possible. Yeah.
And when you talk about your sport in particular and the number of people you've talked to and the number of suicides from sledders,
Yeah.
that's a pretty narrow group, right? So the percentage is really high of people experiencing this. And you would think as we go forward, like you mentioned, boxers, mixed martial arts folks, let alone football players, soccer players. I had a son who was a goalie, and I lived in fear of all the head stuff. And they
That's
talk
the
about,
number one. That's the
yeah,
number one sport for CTE right now is soccer.
because of the headers and all of the, yeah, exactly, the jostling. Most people don't know that either. So, how is it for you now, day to day? Like, where are you at, and what are you doing in addition to the chamber? What are you doing for yourself?
Nothing. It's taking me off every medication. Like I don't use any meds anymore. I'm just, as long as I don't have, worst thing I use now is a little bit of coffee now. If I need to get moving in the morning. Like if I wasn't doing podcasts talking to people like you, I wouldn't drink any coffee. I just had to wake up naturally, organically. And that's when I feel better. But when I rush it and have to get up and put caffeine, I feel a little bit like I've been on like a 3 month or 4 month podcast and just talking about it. So it's taking a toll on me as well. So pretty soon I'll be kind of shutting this down a little bit. We've already kind of started. But yeah, but I'm okay. I still can't do my old jobs. Like I can't process fast
Mm.
enough. If I have people that want to take their lives and things like that, like I shouldn't be the one over there talking to them today and I can't come up with the answer till tomorrow. That's not like how this is supposed to work. And so I really try to stay away from that arena and just try to live right now. And the number one thing is to be grateful. Like
Yeah.
I came back and I have a voice. I have a voice again. When you get to the point where you can't talk, like frustration comes out, not being able to communicate. One day my girlfriend asked me to do something like, she'll ask me something like a process slow. I might not really understand what she asked me until 5 hours later. Oh yeah. Okay. Now but it's a horrible way to have your life be.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm not complaining. I'm very grateful to be back. Like we couldn't have this conversation 3, 4 years ago. Definitely. I was just, man, I was a goner, man.
In a different place.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad you're speaking out and I'm glad you're bringing light to it because the mental health aspect of this, and as you said earlier, the number of people who choose substances to try to cope with it, and then that becomes something else entirely. If this works, the word needs to get out.
There's a ton of people doing it. Trust
Yeah.
me, I didn't create. Matter of fact, this is how simple it is. When I came out of dementia, no doctor ever said I was in dementia. I know, but I don't know until I came out of it. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I was in dementia. I went back to the people who manufacture these things, who sell these things, and I thought I recreated the wheel. I was like, I got some great information for you. And I went to him. I said, did you know? Like I was a dementia that brought me out. And the guy went in his drawer and put out this piece of paper and popped it like this. There's so many people right now getting treatment for dementia and Alzheimer's in these
Yeah.
machines.
Yeah.
If you have cancer, they'll put you in there. There was a coach right on ESPN like a month ago who was in stage 4 melanoma, and he was about to die. The chemo wasn't working. They put him in hyperbarics. Now his numbers are normal. If you have a stroke, they'll tell you because the science behind it is it makes you believe you're 9 feet, minimum of 9 feet underwater, which I have with the lower pressure chamber. And so your blood becomes more like a gas. And so a gas blood can get through all the blockages and oxygenate and send blood everywhere it needs to go. And the main thing is, which I figured out where they're making a mistake at. Every injury, I was an athlete from 11 to 36, right? I won my last national championship at 36. I turned
Wow.
37 that summer. A lot of injuries over the years, hamstrings, whatever. So we all know you pull a hamstring or you get hit on the head or anything, you're going to get a knot. Sometime, somewhere fluid is going to come to that area to protect it. It's for protection for you. So we put ice on it for 72 hours. No, absolutely no heat before that. Otherwise, you're going to be sorry. Ice compression, right? After that, you go rounds of electric stimulation. Then they'll do ultrasound. Some people do acupuncture. And at that point, you're down to a mass. You got like a knot or something. Some kind of scar tissues in that muscle. And they have to get it out or that muscle's compromised, right? So this is where it gets freaky. Use your physical trainer. You see him coming out with the white rag or the white towel. And I'm thinking, oh God, not today. But that's for us to bite because she's going to take that elbow like this. She's going to put it
Oh,
right on that mass and she's going to dig in there and she's going to break up all the scar tissue for you. And so you see these grown folks at the Olympic trains. We all hopping around on the table like we just squirming because it's brutal. Now, for the concussion, everybody's got a concussion. What's the treatment? There is none. The only treatment I ever got was they told me matter of fact, on the day when Prince Albert was there, They told me to go back to the hotel and don't go to sleep for the first few hours. And they told me that, matter of fact, the guy who was knocked unconscious was my roommate, Tucker. They told us to watch each other. I can't sit up in the bed without the room spinning. And he was actually unconscious. So who was supposed to watch you? Like but that's the advice we all get. And so that I believe this thing here removed that information from me. And so it's quick, guys. It's quick. It's matter of fact, people call me all the time. Where can I buy one at? I was like, before you buy one, just go and use one that's in the community. Save your money. Just go and use one, see how the results are. Come to me, come up, go to Google, type in HBOT, hyperbaric oxygen therapy near me. They're in wellness centers, they're in chiropractic office, and they're in people's homes like mine. Try that first before you spend that money. Some people only need one treatment. You don't need to spend 20,000 if you need one treatment. It's going to cost you 200. That's it. Yeah. So I'm really just trying to show people, and it worked for me, it worked for Joe Namath, it worked for a lot of people.
I think it's
And
great. And I think it's great you're trying to give it back to William. I'm going to let you go, but
before you let me go, I got to say one
yeah,
more thing.
yeah, please.
This is one disturbing. Go back and look at the mass shootings in America. Since 2012, there was a study out. 31% were done by our veterans coming back, turning the guns on us. That's number one. Also, most of the shootings in America, a lot of them are CTE related. It's all the same stuff because your brain goes in a loop. My loop told me to die every day, kill yourself, end this thing, be done with it. I have some friends who told me their brain tells them kill other people, like they want to kill other people. So
Mhm.
it's which one do you have? Now, our military come back. They're the best killers in the world now. So we have to address those guys. This thing started off as just me helping my teammates, a few Olympic athletes around the world. But when I saw the real numbers, I'm like, wait a minute. Now we can't go anywhere without the threat of being in a mass shooting. There was one yesterday, one tomorrow.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I believe this is what's behind it, but no one's talking. The information is there. Look at where those people come from. They're athletes or they're veterans or they're some of them you can look at. They were neither, but you can look in their eyes and you see their eyes rolling around, which means something happened to that head at one point in time. So
Brain
that,
disease.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We're going to put links to William's socials and GoFundMe page. His socials are really interesting too. You'll really like those.
Oh, also, we're officially non for profit. We are non for profit,
Excellent.
and I have turned down all private money. There is no money coming in from private investors because I don't want to pass that bill to our people. This is something it's going to be for the people, by the people. Yeah,
It's great.
no bills.
Thank you so much for taking time with us today. For those of you listening, watching, we encourage you to be safe. And if you're able to, please help.
Yeah.